is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Night Owls, your daily FAU destination, and it's time for the Week 1 preview. We have waited all off season to get to this point through the dog days of June, July, and now it is finally here. Expect daily uploads from us pretty much until the end of February when college football season dies down, when the portal dies down for football videos only, and then we'll have basketball through that. But we made it, guys. It is finally here. And FAU's biggest game of the season kicks off in week 1 at College Park against the Maryland Terps. Both these teams are coming off not a great season from last year. They both played under their expectations. FAU winning 3 games, Maryland winning 4 games. And their coach, Loxley, is now on the hot seat. FAU's got a new head coach in Zach Kitley, who's an Air Raid type of guy, youngest head coach in the FBS. But here to preview the game with me is Win Gaber. Win, how's it going today?
Hey, it's going great. It's great knowing that college football season's right around the corner. Well, it really has already started with week 0, but it's the best time of the year. I'm really excited for this season, especially for FAU.
It is the best time of the year indeed. When we made it through summer, it's time for fall, and it's time for the college football season to kick off. And you mentioned you're super excited, in specific for FAU. Well, they play Maryland week 1, as we mentioned. When you look at both these teams, the FAU offense, Maryland offense, FAU defense, what stands out to you from both of these rosters, and what position groups are you watching for in some key matchups this Saturday?
I'm looking at two skill position players between Easton Messer and Maryland's Nikiel Lawrence Johnson. Both two dynamic players, both on their respective sides. I think Easton Messer might have an advantage in this one, knowing that Nikiel is a little bit like he's a slower guy compared to everybody else on the team. But that's the comparison that I'm looking at, because Lawrence Johnson, he's a big guy compared to Messer, who's really not a big guy. What's your favorite matchup in this one?
Yeah, Win, great question. Now, I want to piggyback off of you before I get to mine. You got a guy in Easton Messer. He has that connection with Caden Velkamp, both coming over from Western Kentucky. He might be double teamed with Jalen Husky on there as well. This is a guy who has that connection with Velkamp, nearly 800 receiving yards. They transferred together in a package. And you really mentioned it. He's an undersized type of receiver. Despite that, he's still super speedy and shifty. He averaged over 14 yards of reception last season. So I definitely think he could get the better in the matchup. But what I'm looking at in the matchup is going to be Malik Washington, Maryland's quarterback, up against this FAU defensive line. You got a guy who is a true freshman quarterback going up in his first ever start in high school. Granted, he was a 4-star recruit, but this is a true freshman that Maryland is trusting to start against this very veteran FAU defensive line. In the interior, FAU's got CJ Doggett and Bryce Langston. Doggett, a transfer from Ohio, who had 4 sacks last season. This is a guy who's a little bit undersized for a D lineman. He has a really good bounce off the line, and he's really going to be able to get after Malik Washington, make him feel under pressure. Then you got a guy who fits the defensive line build on the interior in Bryce Langston. This is a guy who could have went anywhere in the country. He came back to FAU because he loves this program. He's a leader. He was chosen to go to FAU for media days, American Conference media days. He leads this team. He's very vocal in the defensive line position meetings. And this is a guy who is 6'3", 320. He fits the build of a defensive lineman. He also has a really good bounce off the D-line, and he was voted a captain. So those two guys on the interior could definitely get after a true freshman quarterback in Malik Washington. Now let's look at the edge position, those guys on the defensive end. You got a guy in Wilkie Denard, someone who's returning. He is also going to be able to get after Malik Washington. If you don't know Wilkie Denard's name by now and you're an FAU fan, what are you doing? This is a guy who's a sophomore who loves this program so much, South Florida guy, and he is coming back looking to put a lot of pressure under quarterbacks. Josh Roberts is going to get some playing time. You got a guy in Deshaun Batiste on the D line. He's a transfer from Tulane, a redshirt freshman, high end recruit. He's looking really good. So this is a true freshman quarterback going up against what I think is FAU's best position group when you really dissect all their positions, and it certainly has the most veteran talent. So I think that this FAU defensive line is going to be able to take Malik Washington down for some sacks. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to both those position groups. When you talk about Easton Messer in the wide receiver room himself, but Coach Kelly said he's going to get doubled. And that there's going to be another guy in that receiver room who Caden Velkamp's going to be very confident with. Obviously, the receiver room is loaded with talent. Assad Wasim, the Colorado transfer, Jabari Smith, he's returning. J.R. Wilson, the Virginia transfer. You got a really 6'4" type of guy who's big, and Jay Sean Platt who can catch those 50-50 lobs. Quincy Brown, he's more of that hitch route guy. He can get open very well and get a lot of receptions. And Dom Henry, he has that connection with the threes with Zach Gibson and Jordan Magwood. We saw it in the scrimmages. If Easton Messer is doubled, who is Keaton Velkamp going to turn to in the receiver room? And when it comes to this Maryland secondary, do you just think it's Easton Messer who's going to have the advantage, or is it every wide receiver for the FAU team who's going to have an advantage over that Maryland secondary?
The guy that I see that has the advantage on this Maryland secondary, in my opinion, is Jabari Smith. He could get around the Maryland defense really easily with his with him being dynamic. With the Maryland defense not being as fast but more defensive, I'd say. Not less cover and more like sacks and all that stuff, which might lead to trouble in Caden Velkamp's part. But that leads to Jabari Smith being open for more than half of the time and Velkamp hitting him maybe in stride or if he's on the hitch, like you said earlier.
Yeah, Jabari Smith is more of a deep ball type of guy. He averaged over 18 yards a catch last season. And if he's open on those streaks and creates separation from this Maryland secondary, which you said is less speedy, although I think Jalen Husky is the most talented player on the defense, maybe the most talented on the team. If he's able to create separation, get open, you know who Caden Velkamp's going to throw to, because this is a guy who's crafty, he's shifty, he has a great change of direction, he's able to get open. And I think that he could definitely be one of those guys that Caden Velkamp is looking for. So Maryland, watch out for Jabari Smith. Now, when I want to transition over to the quarterbacks, obviously the football starts with the quarterback. Every play starts with the quarterback. Obviously, if you want to get more in depth, yes, it kind of starts with the center, but really it starts with the quarterback because the quarterback has to distribute the ball to either his running backs or receivers, and quarterbacks win championships. I think that having a good quarterback can be the difference in the game, and I think FAU has the better quarterback in Caden Velkamp, a pure pocket passer, super accurate, has a very quick release compared to a true freshman guy who's more of a dual threat in Malik Washington. But for you, what are you looking at in this quarterback matchup, and who do you think is going to be able to outplay the other quarterback if you see someone being outplayed? And also, we think Malik Washington is going to be the Maryland quarterback, but we're not sure yet. Coach Loxley is saying he'll announce it the day of. So do you think it's going to be Malik Washington? Could Christian Martin possibly get it? Give me your thoughts on that and who's going to be the better quarterback in this matchup.
Of course, going on you, I think Kane Velkamp's definitely going to be the better one in this matchup, especially if Malik Washington gets named a starter. He hasn't had the experience in college that Velkamp does. So I think this will be a learning opportunity for Malik Washington, which definitely gives FAU the upside in this one, especially with Malik Washington facing one of the best defenses in the American Conference. But then when you go to Veltkamp, you're also facing a great defense. But like I said, he has a lot more experience and he knows what to do in the situation, especially with the wide receivers that he has, which are a lot better, in my opinion, than Maryland's.
I would agree with that with all your points there. I think Caden Veltkamp is the better quarterback. He has more weapons. Yes, Dorian Fleming, the tight end, the Georgia State transfer for them, is one of the best tight ends in the country. Octavian Smith is going to be a huge weapon for them. But overall, I think that FAU has better weapons when you talk about a guy like Easton Messer, who I think is the best receiver in all of the group of five. I think it's consensus that he was nominated to the Paul Horning Award watch list, which goes to the most versatile player in the country. This is a guy, as we really talked about and dissected him, he's a little undersized, but that doesn't take away from his speediness, his shiftiness, how he's very versatile and is able to get open. And we talked about FAU, the other receivers, Assad Wasim. Again, kind of like Easton Messer, he'll be in the slot. You got guys on the outside like J.R. Wilson, Jay Sean Platt. But when it comes to these two quarterbacks, like to Wynn's point, who do you trust more? I'm asking you, the viewer. Do you trust a guy who is the conference player of the year in the Division One in Conference USA last year, threw for over 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, won 8 games, made the conference championship, and played an amazing season and gets to bring his wide receiver one with him, or a true freshman quarterback who, yes, he's a 4-star granted, but has no experience at the college level? I think it's pretty obvious you trust a guy in Caden Velkamp more. So when I want to get into overall predictions of this game, FAU started as 17.5 point underdogs just 9 days ago. The spread has shifted down to 14.5. So something fishy has to be going on for the line to shift 3 points in this game in just under 2 weeks. So how do you think the game is going to go? Who's going to win? Is FAU going to cover the 14.5? And if FAU wants to win this game, or if Maryland's going to win, talk about how you see this game going from start to finish. Is FAU going to jump out to an early lead? What do you think when it comes to this game as a whole?
I mean, both teams are entering their rebuild stage, so this game could go either way. I do think that Maryland's going to be testing with Malik Washington, but if they do start Martin, there'll be a big difference because he has experience in college because he's a transfer from a big school like UCLA. But then if they start Malik Washington, I think this game could head into a whole another direction with FAU maybe taking a lead late into the game and making it very close. So I do think that they're going to cover.
Yeah, Win, I definitely agree with that. I'd have to argue with your point. I don't think FAU by any means is rebuilding. I think this is the best FAU roster we've seen in a decade, even better than the Kiffin era. I think FAU wins at least 10 games this year and wins the conference itself. And I know that's a hot take, but FAU's got the best quarterback in the conference. Yes, it's debatable whether it's Retzlaff or Velkamp. I think it's Velkamp. I think they have the best receiving core in the country. I think they have the most, not in the country, in the conference, the most deep running back room in all of the conference with Caden Shields, Dutton, the power back. You got a guy in Jamari Sands. He's a hybrid type back in Xavier Terrell to catch out of the backfield. These three guys, they're all experienced. They're all returning to FAU. And I think that the coaching staff is really solid. I think FAU is going to shock a lot of people. I would have to 100% disagree with your rebuilding stage for FAU because, I mean, how are they rebuilding if they brought in the best quarterback in the conference and the best receiving core, the best defensive line in the conference? I mean, this team is going to be something special this year, so we want you guys to watch out for it. But what are your overall predictions for the game? What do you think the score is going to be? Let's assume Malik Washington's going to be the starter because he's the betting favorite right now to be that QB1 for Maryland.
All right, let's say Malik Washington is the starting quarterback. So I don't think he has enough experience to be able to, win his first game in college since he's a local kid from Maryland that went to an all-right football high school. I do think this one's going to end up in Florida Atlantic's favor. It's going to be in the 20s. I have 21-24 FAU.
Win pulling off an upset, and Win has no bias here. He's not an FAU faithful, an FAU local. But I have to respect it. I mean, you've done your homework here. When I agree with you, I like FAU. I'm going to take you guys through what I think the game's going to go. I think FAU is going to jump out to like an early 10-0 lead. I think we're going to see an Assad Wasim touchdown on the first drive or Caden Shields Dutton touchdown on the first drive. We're going to get a field goal. Then Maryland's going to score 2 field goals before the half. It's going to be a 10-6 game at the half. Third quarter is going to go on. Maryland's going to score a field goal and a touchdown. It's going to be 16-10 Maryland. Then FAU is going to come out 2 touchdowns back to back for them. They're going to take the 24-16 lead heading into the fourth quarter. Yes, I do have a lot of score in that third quarter. I think that's going to be the quarter where we see a lot of points. Then in the fourth quarter, FAU's up 24-16. Maryland scores a touchdown with about 6 minutes left. They go for the two. They convert. It's 24-all, and FAU seals it with the field goal on the final drive of the game. Give me FAU 27-24. If you guys disagree, if you guys think we're idiots for choosing FAU to pull off the upset, go to the comment section down below. Leave us your predictions, what you think about the game. This is the Night Owls. We'll be uploading 2 to 3 times each day. So make sure you guys subscribe to stay tuned to the content. For Win Gaber, I'm JJ Metz. Hope you guys enjoyed this preview, and thank you so much for watching. Go Owls.